is the number that crops up most frequently. Okay, so those are the three types of average. And then the range, which does a different job, that measures the spread. It's just the biggest number take away the smallest number. So let's imagine we had this set of data here, okay? And you can see Man United scored the following number of goals in their last 20 matches. And so if we'd been doing this yesterday, the mean, we would have added them all up. That's 42 goals, divided by the 20 numbers, which is the 20 games, and that would be 2.1 goals per game. Nice and easy. The median, because they're already in order, we would just work our way into the middle. There is an even number of numbers here. There are 20 numbers, so there are two numbers in the middle, and you work out the average of those two. Now, obviously, because they're both 2, the median is 2. Now, the mode, what was the number of goals that Man United scored most often? Well, it's no goals, because that happened on 5 occasions, just like last night as it happened. And then the range is the biggest number of goals they've ever scored in the 20 matches, which was 8. Take away the smallest number of goals, which is 0. Now, working out averages and the range from a list of data is fine when the list isn't that big. But just imagine you were trying to do working out some stuff for every single person in the country or something. The list would just be ridiculously long. You'd know how to do it, but it would just take you forever. So when the list starts becoming very long, we simplify the list into what's called a frequency table. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this same information that we've got here, we're going to pop it into a frequency table, and then we're going to go and see how could we work out that the mean was 2.1. How could we work out the median was 2, the mode was 0, and the range was 8, just from the table itself, okay? Now, what I don't want you thinking is, well, what I'd go and do, I'd convert it back into a list, and then I'd go and do it my normal way. No, that's not the point, okay? We need to be able to do it from the table, because we're imagining that actually we'd have a much bigger number of numbers in it, so you wouldn't be able to take it back to a list. So that's our goal today. So on the next slide, when we go around to it, there's a slight lag. I'll just wait for the slide to go around. There we go. So all I've done at the top, I've just copied the information from the front slide into the top left. I know it's very small to see, but that doesn't matter. Now there's our frequency table at the bottom. So we're just going to go and fill this in. So what we have in the first column is the number of goals that Manchester United have scored. And sometimes they've scored no goals, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 8. And in the frequency column, that's how many times it happened. Now, how many times did they score 0 goals? Well, that's just what I'm highlighting at the top in green in a minute. Okay. And that's going to be 5 occasions. Okay, on 5 occasions they scored no goals. So I'm going to put 5 into the frequency column. On 5 occasions they scored no goals. That's the bit I've worked out in green. Now, on 4 occasions they scored 1 goal. On 3 occasions, they scored 2 goals. Now I know there's a bit of a lag, so you're just going to have to listen to me and then a few seconds later see it. So on 3 occasions they scored 2 goals, so a 3 is going to come across in a minute. On 4 occasions, they scored 3 goals. On 3 occasions, they scored 4 goals. And on 1 occasion, one famous night, they managed to score 8 goals. So there is our frequency table. Now, how can we go and work out all those numbers from the table? Well, let's start off with the easy one, the mode. Let's do the two easy ones first. So how would we work out the mode? Now, the mode is what happened most often, okay? And we know the answer is going to be 0 goals. So how could we work out from that frequency table that what happened most often? Well, this is the easy one. To work out the mode, you go and see what happened the most often times. So you look for your biggest frequency. Our biggest frequency is 5. What happened on 5 occasions? They scored no goals. So you'll see in a minute that I'm just about to go and circle the 5 in green, because that's what happened most often. And what happened most often? They scored no goals. So that's how I worked out that the mode was 0 from the frequency table. So I'm just getting the easy ones out of the way first. How could I work out what the range was? Remember, the range is the biggest, take away the smallest. Well, that's easy. You just go and see what's the biggest number of goals they ever scored, which is 8. I'm just going to be circling this in purple in a second. You take away the smallest number of goals that they scored, which is 0, and 8 take away 0. 8 take away 0 is 8. Okay, so just wait for that to click through. So that was easy. So the range I've done in purple is just 8 take away 0, which equals 8. Now the harder two. How do we work out the mean? Now remember, for the mean, and I'm going to do this in red, we first of all got to work out how many goals were scored in total. Now, on 5 occasions, they scored no goals. So if I do 5 times 0, that gives me 0 goals. And this will be coming through in red in a minute. Now, on 4 occasions, they scored 1 goal. So how many goals is that? That's 4 times 1, which is 4. I know there's a lag, but this is the bit coming through in red. Okay. Now, on 3 occasions, they scored 2 goals. Okay, 3 occasions they scored 2 goals. So 3 times 2 equals 6. On 4 occasions they scored 3 goals, that's 12 goals. 3 times they scored 4 goals, that's 12 goals. And 1 time they scored 8 goals, which is 8 goals. So you will see that I'm just cross multiplying. I'm multiplying the number of goals scored by the frequency to give me a subtotal of goals. And then I'm going to add up that final column in red. I'm going to add up that 0, add 4, add 6, add 12, add 12, add 8. And that again will give me the 42 goals. So remember how we work out the mean. It's the total of number of goals they scored, and we divide that by the number of games. Now the question told me I played 20 games, so I would just divide that by 20. But if the question hadn't told me that, that frequency column is the number of games that have been played. Now, 5 times they scored no goals. That's 5 games. So if the question didn't tell me how many matches they played, I could add up that frequency column, and that would also give me 20. So once I've worked out there are 42 goals divided by the 20 games, I do my usual division, and that would give me my 2.1 as my mean average. So that is going to take a bit of practice, all right? In short, to work out the mean, you cross multiply the data to get some subtotals of goals or whatever it is, add those all up, and then divide by the total of the frequency. Now, the median, we're going to quickly touch upon, but really this is something that we need to get to grips with later than second form. So I'm going to mention it because you're a bright bunch, But if the median doesn't stick, if this is the one you get stuck on, then don't worry, we will revisit this time and time again. It's the first three that I'm particularly keen on, but I'm just going to mention the median in passing. Now, the median is the middle game. Okay, now we've gone and played 20 games. So the middle game, go and divide 20 by 2, halve it, and you get 10. So we need to go and see how many goals were scored in that 10th game. Okay, now working your way down, in that first row, that is 5 games. I'm just going to pop it in black. In the first row, that's just 5 games. Okay, have we got to 10 games yet? No, we haven't. Let's go and add on the second row. So go and add on the second row of 4 games. That's 9 games in total. Have we got to our 10th game yet? Have we got to our middle game yet? No, we haven't. So we move on and we go and now add on the 3 as well. What is 5 add 4 add 3? That is 9, 10, 11, 12. So have we got to our middle game yet? Our 10th game? Yes, we have. So our middle game is one of those 3 games that are in light blue. Our 10th game is one of those light blue games. How many goals were scored in that game? That was 2 goals. So the median is 2. So we've gone and worked out the same 4 things from the table, just like we did from the list of data. Of course, the answers are the same, but we're now learning how to do it just from a table, not from the list. And just to recap, I think the green and the purple are very easy, so you should all understand that. The mean in red is the one that I really want you to get to grips with today. And then the median, some of you might get to grips with that, some of you might not. And to be honest, I can't quite remember whether I've included any median in the Dr. Frost work or not. We'll see that when we get there. Okay, guys, that's been quite a bit of talking from me. I'm going to leave this slide on the screen for a while you get going, okay? And then obviously I will go and share my screen with the questions you're doing once you've had an opportunity just to sort of digest everything on that screen. Okay, so I'm just going to go and stop the recording.